we are going to jump right in to honoring the past inductees. And just in case you're wondering, all but 2 of these people are vegan, so see if you can figure out who they are while I read the names. Jay and Freya Dinshaw, Helen and Scott Nearing, Michael Clapper, George Eisman, Paul Obis, Mahatma Gandhi, Alex Hershaft, Muriel Gold, Patricia Lambert, Howard Lyman, Charles Stoller and Deborah Wasserman, Brian and Sharon Graff, Richard Schwartz, T. Colin Campbell, Brenda Davis, Joe Stepanek, Colleen Holland and Joe Connolly, Caldwell Esselstyn, Neil Barnard, Jenny Stein and James Levesque, Ray Sikora, John Pierre, Hans Deal, Miyoko Schinner, and last year's inductee, Chef Mark Reinfeld. Let's give them all a hand. So were you able to figure out who the 2 people are that are not vegan? Does anybody know? Gandhi, yes, and Paul Obis. Paul Obis was the founder of Vegetarian Times. They're still not a vegan publication. There's a lot of other ones that have replaced that magazine, though. So, are you ready for this year's Hall of Fame? All righty, get ready. Here's the clues. A culinary instructor, a chef, a professional speaker, an author, and this person has been vegan for more than 3 decades. So that narrows it down to probably about 75 people in the audience, right? So here we go with a little bit more detail. This person is based in LA and hosts a TV series. And she's really funny, having appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman and The Tonight Show with Jay Leno and The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And here's Chef AJ. Hit the music.
Was local for show, though we paving the road that's opposed to the dodo. Going over your head like a top hat, stop that. I know you hear me spitting these hot raps. Now watch that beat, cause it's about to drop. The Rockets is the 09 jump off, yeah, your last name Pan, first name Peter. I know you see me playing and you want me to teach you, but I say elevated so that all God's creatures can hear me shout it out like my name is Aretha. Getting R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Fly by, see the looks on your faces, cause I'm in full E-F-F-E-C-T. Jet setting on a daily basis. David F, man, don't stop. David, won't stop. We came to rock it till the city takes off. Mr. Captain, yeah, I'm an ex-pilot, yeah. I wanna spread my wings and fly. To all my people in coach, yeah. And to my first class folks, yeah. We'll show you how to scrape the sky. Yeah. As the curvature of the earth takes shape, fly fast forward like a big.
Woo, I'm so glad that secret is out now. I feel so much better. Oh my God. Woo. Chef AJ. All right. So we usually start off this part of the ceremony by hitting a few highlights about the person's background, like where they were born and something about their family and their hobbies. And we show cute photos to go along with it. Well, it's going to be a little bit different tonight. I just have to catch my breath a little bit still. Because it's going to be a little bit different tonight because in AJ's case, you have to understand the details of her early years in order to appreciate what she does today. So I can't just gloss over them. And as far as childhood photos go, there aren't any because her family's possessions were destroyed in an earthquake a long time ago. So instead, I'm going to spend probably about 5 minutes giving you just enough factual information to get the real flavor of AJ's background. And here's a really cute photo of her dog Bailey that you can look at while I'm telling the story. And by the way, before I begin, I want you to know that everything I'm going to share with you are things that AJ herself talks about in front of live audiences and on YouTube and in her books. But if you haven't heard her tell her story yet, then definitely put it on your to-do list, because the abbreviated story that you're about to hear from me does not do it justice. Okay, AJ? Here we go. AJ was born Abigail J. in 1960 in the south side of Chicago. And between her mother, her father, her grandparents, and her brother, there was diabetes and congestive heart failure, heart attacks, strokes, morbid obesity, dementia, cancer, emotional abuse, and physical violence toward people and animals, including toward her dog Snoopy, whom she loved. She turned to food for escape and spent her entire childhood living with the social and emotional ramifications of being the one overweight kid in her class year after year. By the time she was 11, AJ weighed 160 pounds, and a family member told her that she could probably go a week without eating and still be fine. And so she did, and then spent the next 7 years battling anorexia. After high school, she attended the University of Pennsylvania to become a veterinarian, and something unexpected occurred. She was told to cut the heads off a bunch of live salamanders for an experiment. And after decapitating the first one, she vomited, ran out the door, and promised God that she would never harm one of his creatures again. She became an ethical vegan on the spot. When she was a junior in college, her anorexia got so bad that she was committed to the locked ward of a mental institution with people who were criminally insane. She was moved to a different psychiatric hospital, but that place wasn't much better, and one day she was put into a full-body restraint for over 5 hours as punishment for not eating. She ate just enough to get out of there, but she didn't know how to eat, and so she gained 60 pounds in just 2 months. The following 20 years included unspeakable pain, including a suicide attempt, another extended stay in a mental hospital, bulimia, knee surgery that left her incapacitated for 3 months, panic attacks that left her unable to leave her home for almost a year, the death of 7 of her loved ones, all within a relatively short period of time, and depression. But it was the agony of what AJ went through that ultimately led her to become who she is today, the spokesperson for healing from food addiction through a finely tuned plant-based diet. And I'm going to talk about what it is that she does, and a little bit about how she got there. But first I want to mention 4 really cool things that happened along the way. The first thing is that AJ really was on all 3 of those comedy shows that I mentioned before. And if you Google Chef AJ Johnny Carson, you can see her playing the flute through her nostrils on The Tonight Show in 1983. The second cool thing is that AJ worked as a dog walker for Michael J. Fox. He had 2 golden retrievers, and her job was to take them out twice a day. Super cool, right? Full disclosure, these are not actually Michael J. Fox's golden retrievers in the picture, so not really that. Okay. The next really interesting story is that AJ and her dog Sparky were on a show called The Dog Whisperer. This was back when panic attacks were a big issue for AJ, and she had begun to notice that Sparky was actually warning her when a panic attack was coming. He would paw at her and lick her and bark. So both AJ and Sparky ended up on the show, and Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer, certified Sparky as a psychiatric service dog, and this enabled AJ to finally leave her house and re-enter the workforce. And the final thing I want to mention here is that in 1992, AJ took a cooking class taught by a woman named Elaine. And Elaine sent AJ a Christmas card at the end of that year, and the card showed Elaine's family. And AJ noticed a rather dashing gentleman in the photo, and she asked Elaine if this guy happened to be seeing anybody. Turns out that he wasn't, and AJ ended up meeting him, and the rest is history. Here she is with Charles on her wedding day, and this is their family photo of today. AJ would go on to talk about addiction and how it stems from emotional trauma, and how it's really no different from addiction to drugs or alcohol. But while abstinence is the known treatment for alcohol or drug addiction, you can't just not eat if you have a food addiction. But AJ figured something out. she figured out how to blend the concept of abstinence with actually eating. And she figured out how to blend the proven success of a McDougall-style starch-based diet with tremendous knowledge that she gained from the True North Health Center in California and from experts in the field of food addiction, including Dr. Doug Lisle, author of The Pleasure Trap, also from the True North Center. It took about a decade for AJ to put all these pieces together. But one of the first things that occurred in her progression was that she established herself as a whole foods plant-based diet free of sugar, salt, and oil, and she became a sought-after demo chef by the likes of T. Colin Campbell and Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn and Dr. John McDougall. And they respected her as a chef not only because of her culinary prowess, but also because of her comedic panache. I couldn't wait to say those two phrases together, culinary prowess and comedic panache. Audiences loved her. But even as she was teaching people all over the country how to eat like this, she herself was still overweight because her wisdom about food addiction was still in development. But once she got it, she tailored the plant-based diet to a person with a food addiction. You see, there are people out there with food addictions who have tried to follow the recommendations by the top plant-based doctors, but they've been unsuccessful. And that's because these people need the kind of guidance that can only come from someone who truly understands what it means to have an addiction. So AJ has touched a population frequently ignored by our culture. And here's how she does it. In 2011, Chef AJ wrote Unprocessed, which unveiled her personal story and explains how a plant-based diet can heal the devastation caused by a diet of animal products and processed foods. This book put AJ on the map, and she's referred to as a magician of the culinary arts by Dr. Hans Diehl in the book's foreword. The book led to several years of the Unprocessed 30-Day Challenge, in which she and celebrity nutrition and fitness guru John Pierre, also a Hall of Famer, guided participants through a month-long experience of plant-based eating and exercise. It also led to invitations to provide cooking classes all over the country, such as the Holistic Holiday at Sea, and Dr. McDougall's Celebrity Chef Weekend and his Advanced Study Weekend, and at the True North Health Center, where she spends a full week every year as a visiting chef. She's frequently interviewed by bloggers and podcasters such as ultramarathoner Rich Roll, and she's a sought-after presenter at special events and at conferences such as the Vegan Summerfest. Yay, Vegan Summerfest. She hosts a show on Foodie TV called Healthy Living with Chef AJ, where she demos recipes with special guests such as Caldwell Esselstyn and T. Colin Campbell and Dr. Hans Diehl and Dr. Joel Kahn. And every month she teaches a sold-out seminar featuring cooking instruction and nutritional science and song parodies. And she created Healthy Taste of LA, which is a vegan festival that highlights the country's best plant-based chefs and nutrition experts. And the festival ended up expanding to Healthy Taste of Sacramento and Healthy Taste of Ventura. And she created Ultimate Weight Loss Live, which is a weekend-long seminar with people who have struggled with weight or food addiction are given the tools that they need to move forward with their lives. And past participants refer to this as a life-changing event. And now, the piece de resistance, the ultimate weight loss program. Together, Chef AJ and John Pierre lead this system for vibrant health and weight loss. It's specialized for people with food addictions and for people who have struggled with food issues their entire lives. It's comprehensive: exercise, nutrition, cooking, compassion, love, emotional support, and humor. You've got to see AJ and JP together. They're so different from each other, so they fall into this whole good cop, bad cop routine, and people love it. So it lightens it up a bit, but it's not superficial. And it's not just about helping people get the number on the scale to go down. This is about guiding people. This is about inspiring people to live in such a way that the weight actually goes down as a side effect. To date, 2,500 people have lost weight through this program, and here's what a few of them have to say. Shada's doctor told her that if she didn't have bariatric surgery, then she would get diabetes. But she found AJ before she had surgery and ended up losing over 125 pounds. And even more importantly, she's kept it off for 5 years. She went off all meds. Her triglycerides went down. Her glucose went down. Her CRP went from a 14 to a 1. And she says, I finally have my life back, and I owe it to Chef AJ. Rebecca's cholesterol went from 212 to 157, and she lost 65 pounds. She said, it's amazing what a whole foods plant-based diet that's free of sugar, salt, and oil can do. Melanie was overweight. Her cholesterol was 237. Her body ached from inflammation, and she was on medication for depression. She says, in less than a year and a half, I was off all meds, and my cholesterol dropped to 169. I lost 40 pounds, and I have absolutely no inflammation. I'm physically active, and I enjoy my life with emotional clarity. Rob lost 23 pounds, and his LDLs went down 50 points. He says, I've continued this healthy lifestyle for 1.5 years, and I couldn't imagine my life any differently. And finally, Karen says, thank you, Chef AJ and John Pierre, for your tireless work in bringing this information and hope to thousands of people. Several of the 2,500 program graduates have lost more than 300 pounds each. And 3 people are in their 70s, and they've experienced the freedom of recovery from food addiction for the first time in their lives. And it's not just chronic obesity that's been reversed, it's diabetes and heart disease and chronic pain and depression. And perhaps even more importantly, people say it's given them a calm, stable mind, something that they could never achieve through other programs. And here's something else about the 2,500 program graduates. Almost none of them were vegan before they began the program. There's one last professional endeavor that I'd like to mention, and that's AJ's new book, The Secrets to Ultimate Weight Loss. It's all here. Her story, the power of the food, her experience and her knowledge of addiction and weight loss, and of course the recipes. It's everything all rolled into one, and it was just released 2 months ago. So to conclude, healing herself was the feat of a lifetime. But AJ took it many steps further. She brought her experience, her wisdom, her tenacity, her story to the world. And she's helped thousands of people experience the same physical health and inner peace that she now feels. She's brought the issue of food addiction front and center and helps remove the shame that so many people with addiction feel. She's the voice that lets people know that no matter how long they've suffered, there is hope. So it's no wonder that Dr. John McDougall says that AJ's personal and professional experiences have earned her the right to be considered the world expert on making the change. In the Jewish world, we would say Dayenu, which means that she did so much more than she had to do. Do the Jewish people know what I'm talking about? Dayenu, right? Dayenu. You know, AJ's been criticized for having an eating style that's extreme. And people say that abstinence is not sustainable. But AJ emphatically says that good habits are worth being fanatical about. And when you reverse a lifestyle disease, when you're in recovery from an addictive substance, the self-esteem that you feel, the joy that you feel, that's sustainable. I'd like to end by sharing a quick story that has to do with Brian Graff. Now, Brian and Sharon Graff are the couple that founded this conference, and they continue to run it today. If they didn't exist together, we wouldn't be here. Well, about 20 years ago, and this does have to do with Chef AJ, I'll come back around. About 20 years ago, Brian told me a story about how he was driving down the highway, and through some freak accident, a car that was traveling on the other side of the median, going in the opposite direction, somehow crashed into something, lost control, flipped over the median, and landed right in front of him. So he's driving, 60, 65 miles an hour, speeding down the highway, and now there's a car that has landed right in front of him. He can see the driver's face. But from some unexplained, bizarre manner of physics, it really defied physics, just some unexplained things, somehow he managed to get to the other side of the car that was coming at him, and he just continued to drive. He didn't get hurt, his car didn't get touched, there was not even a bump. And it was like divine intervention that enabled him to escape that. And I believe that the reason that that happened is because we all needed to be here, and we would not be here if he and Sharon had not connected. We needed to be here this year and past years and future years, and it wouldn't have happened if he had died that day. Well, years ago, when AJ attempted to take her own life, it was like that. She was saved through divine intervention because there was no rational explanation for what saved her. I believe that it happened because her work on this earth was yet to come. She was meant to be here to help thousands of people live better lives through her words, her wisdom, her example, her experience, her tenacity, her conviction, her passion, her truth. She's fierce, she's needed, and we are honored and humbled to have her with us here at the Vegan Summerfest. So AJ, why don't you come on up?
I am humbled and honored and surprised beyond belief. I didn't even think they liked me at this organization, to be honest, but I'm kidding, of course. Next time, tell me, because I will put makeup on. I would have worn something, and I'm asking Bob every day, who's going to win, who's going to win? No idea it was going to be me. I was supposed to be gone by now, so now I know how come you tricked me to stay. You know, it's interesting because one of the things the vegan diet has not, unfortunately, yet helped me with is my asthma. I lived with 3 smokers until the age of 13, and Dr. Goldhammer says once I move to the desert, which is happening later, it'll probably get better. But I got a very bad bout of asthma, and I went to the doctor Monday, had to fly on Tuesday. And I was like, please, let me fly, let me fly. He goes, well, I'm not really thrilled, but he didn't say no, but I almost canceled. That would have ruined everything. You know, I've been vegan since 1971, September 1st, 1971. And, you know, they always say that you never regret the things you did in life, but the things you didn't do. And I think the thing that I am most proud of in my life is that I have been vegan for 41 years. You know, I was vegan before there was Daiya cheese, and before there was Gardein meat or tofuti. I was vegan even before there was soy milk in a box. And, you know, that experience of having to cut the head off that salamander that one time, it changed my life. You know, I knew that I wanted to be vegan. I didn't have a word for it when I was younger. We were raised Orthodox Jewish. And it's a good thing because we didn't eat that many animals growing up anyway. We didn't eat anything from a pig. We only ate certain parts of a cow. We never mixed milk with meat. So I never developed a taste for so many of the foods that carnivores love, like shellfish or bacon or pepperoni pizza. So it really wasn't that hard to give up meat. And I remember very young, a veterinarian I knew said, you know, if you love your dog so much, which I did, my dog was one of the reasons I think I became vegan, because I had a father who was kicked in the head by a horse and became psychotic, and he would actually torture my dog in front of me when I was like 5 years old, and I couldn't do anything as a 5-year-old. But as horrible as that was, I think that's one of the reasons I was able to become vegan so young, because I couldn't save Snoopy, but I wanted to make sure that that kind of abuse never happened to any other animals again. And I remember this veterinarian said, well, if you love your dog so much, how could you eat that cow? And to me, it just made perfect sense. And why everybody doesn't get that, I don't really understand. But I couldn't become vegan. I mean, I guess I could have now, but when I was little, I didn't really have any money, and I kind of ate what my mom made. But she at least was respectful, because I couldn't eat anything like that had a face, like fish or anything with a bone. So if there was some ground beef in the chili, I would eat it, you know, that kind of thing. But I could probably eat tuna in a can. But it was so great that the very first day of college at the University of Pennsylvania, studying to be a veterinarian, instead I became a vegetarian. And it worked out absolutely perfect. And, you know, I've had some great accomplishments in my life, in addition to some great sours. Being on The Tonight Show was one of them, getting married. But there's nothing that I'm ever going to be more proud about than being vegan, because going to bed every night when you hit your pillow knowing that no one had to die for you to live. There's no reason for animals to die for us to wear makeup or for us to take medication or for us to eat food. It's just crazy. And to be a member of a community like this and to be, well, first of all, I'm the first one in the Vegan Hall of Fame, just so you know. The rest of you guys, Clapper and John Pierre, they're in the Vegetarian Hall of Fame. But I'm the first one that's actually in the Vegan Hall of Fame to be among these, because, I mean, I've been vegan almost as long as Summerfest has been in existence. And, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, why you're vegan. I don't care if you're vegan for the animals, vegan for your health, or vegan for the planet. Because you know what, guys? At the end of the day, the animals really don't care why you are not eating them, you know? So thank you so much for this honor, and thank you so much for coming to Summerfest, and thank you for your beautiful tribute, and I love you all, and I love vegans, and let's just make a vegan world. Let's not just have vegetarian Summerfest, let's have vegan world. Thank you.
And Chef AJ, on behalf of the board of the North American Vegetarian Society, thank you for your contributions.
Thank you. I will honor this forever. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Go down over here.